Welcome to the Easy Peasy Methodcast, the podcast that's here to help you break free from porn the easy peasy way. No guilt, no struggle, just a new perspective that makes quitting feel natural. Because real freedom isn't about giving something up, it's about gaining back everything porn has taken from you. Today, we're talking about something that keeps people stuck without them realizing it: the illusion of soft porn. Most people, when they decide to quit porn, think they've identified the enemy. They believe that as long as they stay away from hardcore content, as long as they avoid explicit material, they're safe. So they look for what they consider safer alternatives: lingerie ads, Instagram models, risque TikTok videos, romantic scenes in movies. It's not porn, right? It's just a little bit of excitement, just something to look at. And that's exactly why it's so dangerous. Because soft porn isn't an escape from the trap, it's part of the trap. It keeps you mentally tethered to the same cycle, the same cravings, the same dependence. And today, we're going to break down exactly how it works, why it keeps people addicted, and how to break free from it completely. Let's start with what soft porn actually is. Soft porn isn't just about explicit material. It's anything that triggers the same dopamine response in your brain, anything that gets you just a little bit aroused, anything that keeps your mind thinking about sexual content. It could be a model on Instagram, a suggestive scene in a movie, a thumbnail on YouTube. It doesn't have to be extreme. It just has to keep you engaged. And that's the key: engagement. Because addiction isn't just about what you watch, it's about what your brain gets used to expecting. And as long as you keep feeding it little bits of stimulation, little moments of excitement, you're never actually quitting. You're just stretching out the cycle, making it last longer. And here's the dangerous part: soft porn keeps the cravings alive. When people quit, they assume that the cravings will disappear on their own. But if they still allow themselves to engage with soft porn, they are actively reinforcing the addiction. They may not go all the way back to watching hardcore videos, but their brain remains wired for stimulation. It's like keeping a fire burning with just a few small logs. It may not be a full blaze, but it never goes out. And that's why so many people relapse. They stay away from porn for a few days, maybe even a few weeks. But during that time, they allow themselves just a little, just some scrolling on Instagram, just one clip from a show, just a few seconds of looking at something that gives them a tiny hit of dopamine. And that tiny hit, it primes their brain for a bigger craving later on. And then, when the craving finally hits in full force, they say, "Well, I already looked at soft stuff. I might as well go all the way." And the cycle begins all over again. So why do people think soft porn is okay? Because they believe it's a safer version of the habit. They think, at least I'm not watching full porn. At least I'm cutting down. But here's the truth: cutting down isn't quitting. Imagine someone trying to quit smoking. But instead of stopping completely, they decide, I'll just smoke a few times a week. Will they ever be free? Number. Because as long as nicotine is still in their system, as long as their brain is still being fed small doses of the addiction, they will never stop wanting it. It's the same with porn. As long as you're still looking for little hits of arousal, you're keeping your brain locked in the same loop. You may not watch full-blown porn, but you're still feeding the craving. You're still telling your brain that sexual stimulation is something valuable, something worth seeking out. And what happens when you do this? Your mind never fully resets. One of the biggest benefits of quitting porn is that your dopamine system heals. You start feeling real joy again. You start getting pleasure from normal things, conversations, hobbies, achievements. But as long as you still seek out soft porn, you delay that process. Your brain never gets a chance to fully reboot because it's still being fed artificial stimulation. And here's something even crazier: soft porn actually makes real attraction worse. Most people think that cutting out hardcore porn, but keeping soft porn will help them transition back to real intimacy. But it does the opposite. It keeps their brain wired for artificial attraction. They start comparing real people to edited, filtered, enhanced images. They become less satisfied with reality. And over time, their ability to connect with real people fades even further. So if soft porn is just as much of a trap as hardcore porn, what's the real way out? The answer is removing the desire completely, not fighting it, not resisting it, eliminating it. And that happens when you stop giving your brain any kind of artificial stimulation. No soft porn, no scrolling for sexy content, no feeding the cravings, even in small doses. Because once you do that, something incredible happens. The cravings disappear completely. Think about it. If you stop feeding a stray cat, eventually it stops coming to your door. The same thing happens with cravings. As long as you keep giving them attention, even in small ways, they keep showing up. But the moment you stop, they vanish. And when that happens, real freedom begins. You no longer think about porn. You no longer look for soft alternatives. You no longer feel that constant pull towards stimulation. You just live your life free from the cycle. And once that happens, you don't feel deprived. You don't feel like you've given up anything. You feel relief. So if you've been struggling, ask yourself, am I actually quitting? Or am I just keeping the habit alive in a different form? Because once you see soft porn for what it really is, a chain that keeps you locked in addiction, the choice becomes easy. And once you choose real freedom, everything changes. That's it for today's episode of the Methodcast. If this resonated with you, don't just think about it, act on it. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, send it their way. Because sometimes the only thing standing between someone and freedom is a shift in perspective. Meh. If this message spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who might need to hear it. We're on this journey together, breaking free and creating lives filled with joy, purpose, and real connection. Until next time, celebrate the small victories, stay curious, and remember, you are stronger than you think.